Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerdarchists Dave, and tonight I'm hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchists Ted, how you doing this fine and lovely evening, sir?
Good, man. It's good to see your shining face tonight. So let's jump into Zoo Mafia. This one is a little trickier, right? Zoo Mafia is the role-playing game that we have developed and are working on our own system, the D666 system, and it happens during Prohibition. Booze has been outlawed. It's the 1920s, 1930s. You're a zoo animal in a zoo by day, and by night, you have a secret pet of life thing going on where you're trying to get made into the mob. And we have not touched on religion in this game at all. But you know what? Whenever you watch any of a lot of the Godfather movies or mafia style shows, references and, iconography and a lot of symbolism and just the religion interlaced throughout it, even though they're criminals.
That was exactly the direction that I was going to go. Is if you look at The Godfather, it's there. And there are tenets, there are beliefs that are supposed to be done, but you could approach it from a broad paintbrush to putting it in the background of, okay, well, what if you've got a mafioso, a don, a mob boss who's like, well, I'm on a holy war. I'm going to cleanse anybody who doesn't believe the way I do. And he's drawing people to him, and anybody that stands in his way, they're just going to get gunned down. Absolutely an aspect of faith. You have the ability to put in whatever religious bent that as you shape your own world. But if you look at The Godfather, like it's based off of characters who have real world religions, and they're going to do this or you're going to do that. If you've got a goon who before the start of every job is like, oh, hold on a second. And they take a knee, they pull out their cross and they do a prayer. You could have a grifter who, like, in all of their negotiations and all of their things, like they're pulling out scriptures to kind of convince those people that they're trying to get one over on, that they're in the right and they're doing the right thing. And religion says so. Or what about a safecracker that just pulls out some kind of lucky token that he's always got to have it on him? I mean, throughout movies, there's always been, oh my God, where is my insert whatever thing here? It happens all the time. And whether it be my lucky penny or my lucky cross, it's still a religious bent. It's still a thing it's not quite worship, but it's needed. It's a belief.
Yeah. So like me, automatically, I think of Catholicism with the Italians, the Sicilians, the Irish, right? But also there's I just Googled it real quick, but Buddhism and Hinduism also have sects that are implicated as well. So to me, the question is, with a game like Zoo Mafia, do you kind of lean into real world religions and kind of, use that? Or do you do an animal parody version of religions and kind of create your own thing? The animals have all animal versions from the Bible or whatever religion that they're happening to be following.
So are you saying that the animals in the zoo should worship dog?
Maybe they might. I mean, he is a good boy. But again, and also exploring these avenues in your own game is one thing, but in something we publish, we have to be kind of careful, and especially because it's a sensitive topic, and we don't want people to think we're making fun of their faith or religion. But at the same time, it feels like it should be an important part of it because the game is loosely based off of historical 1920s, 1930s prohibition and those mafias, those mobs, right?
When you're mixing religion and violence, it does get to be a touchy subject. And because of it, I felt like with previous conversations, or previous campaigns, that's not a direction that I felt like I needed to go in. But if you kind of backtrack through the campaigns that we've run, I think the closest that we've gotten to any kind of religious bent in the games here on the channel is when Bobby ran Blood Moonshine. The whole magic mysticism angle of things, I felt, even though it wasn't kind of hit over the head with, I think there were religious characters who were into the mysticism stuff more so than a deity. But I felt that that definitely to me ranks as religious.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But again, too, like by adding that in, and it's something to think about in our games going forward when we play Zoo Mafia, both when we stream it or just in our own games, right? Like, what would religion look like in that world? How do these characters in this world interact with it? How does it kind of jive with their values? What does it mean, right? Like, I feel like we've kind of missed out on that. Maybe having some cool scenes that happen in a church, right? During a church sermon, right? In the back, maybe you're like quietly like praying and attending, but also you're having this clandestine meeting with another character from the underworld. That would be kind of a cool thing to happen. But, and also too, like if you decide to play a character that's deeply religious and maybe you do confessionals and you have scenes with the priest or a father, that can really add some depth and some really interesting role-playing scenarios to your.
My notes on this is like, are there sacred grounds? Are there places where like even the mobsters aren't willing to shed blood or do harm? If we were to do like, as I'm doing in Fern City, where you could have full on, temples or sacred places. But like in a zoo, like, is there a spot that's like, oh, well, is there a hidden shrine somewhere people come to pray and to do their thing?
But didn't Jesus say something about when one or more or two or more of my people or us, gather, blah, blah, blah.
That's church.
I'm not very religious, to be honest with you. So like, you don't even need to have a formal location. Like, I understand what you're saying, and that is definitely something to work in. And I think it's actually kind of cool that the animals might have a hidden church someplace, but also like maybe they just hold sermons out in the open in a field.
Right. Sure. Are there religious festivals or rituals? I mean, here in the US, like, okay, well, we have Christmas and we have Easter and what have you. So like, what religious holidays would the animals have? And like that's going to be based off of actual events that happen. I would imagine in a game like, Blood Moonshine, that there would be things possibly related to the equinox or things along those lines, because for mysticism, those change of seasons mean something. So like, you just have to kind of take what you've got and say, okay, well, what does that beget? It helps build things. When you're playing a typical We're Animals in a Zoo, I've always approached this as an aspect of the animals are smarter than the humans. Like, I've laughed at them numerous times because it's like, they're too stupid to realize that we do all of this stuff. But so you could take it in two different directions. You could be like, well, the humans have a deity and maybe the animals kind of fear that deity, or like you could turn it on its side and the animals actually worship the humans, but you don't interact with the humans because they're so far above you. That could be a whole nother way of playing. Like, okay, well, sure, you lose your markers, but that's a scary thing to go and literally interact with your deity.
So you got me kind of thinking a little bit too. Like, one is like when you talk about the humans are stupid and you make fun of them, it's like, oh, like they're using our religion, but they got it all wrong. You swap out all the famous characters, important biblical characters, and replace them with animal versions, and that's how the animals do it. Maybe they talk about it a different way, like being descendants of Eden, like kind of like the humans when they're all cast out together. They all do follow the same religion, but they blame the humans because they messed it up, right? Because everyone had the garden in Eden. And also another thing I just thought of was the South Park episode with the Pope.
I don't remember the specifics, but I know it's South Park, so it's not going to be good.
So the reason why the Pope wears a hat like that is because he's actually the Easter Bunny. So I mean, like, you can literally just do that, right? Like, there's so many different ways you can go. You can go super serious with it. You can kind of make it a silly parody. You could do it that they kind of just share the same religion. But either way you look at it, like some of the biggest mobs in America at that time would have been the Irish and the Italians, right? And they all kind of shared the same religion. And you're right, they probably did have rules and taboos about doing certain things. Like, you probably wouldn't perform a hit at a church, even though that would be like one of the easier spots. Like, just like they had rules about not doing it in front of the family and things like that. So these are all things that you can explore. And maybe that's a place where two Dons might meet because it's considered neutral ground where they're not going to actually do anything against each other because it goes against a taboo that, not even they're willing to.
Yeah. So like there's lots of things that could be done. I see like whether you want to bring in real world religion, you could have, pages that have been torn out of a Bible and you only have a snippet of, what your religious text is, or it could very well be things that are handed down and everything is just so completely wrong from, what was there, because maybe it was just a verbal tradition. And as we all know, whisper down the lane can really distort a lot of things. So animals got it wrong.
Yeah.
And now they're doing one thing and yay, violence is the answer.
So I guess like kind of in conclusion, in a game like Zoo Mafia, it's really easy to overlook religion and spirituality and the gods because mechanically it doesn't do anything. Where in other RPGs we play, it's a big part of the game. Matter of fact, like, many games have character classes or archetypes that are built specifically around that. But just because there's a mechanical reason doesn't mean there can't be an exploration or roleplay reason to do it where it can add some real depth to your game and to the campaigns you're running. But with that, until next time, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.